Red Bow is an adventure game with a horror setting. I was provided a copy of this game by the developers to give a little insight on it and to showcase what this game is all about. You play the character, Ro, who is a young girl who wakes up in the middle of the night not knowing where she is. After making her way out of the house, she finds herself on an abandoned road and meets a character called Kubi, who is a mysterious creature that needs her help. While I think this game is very cute and the cute in the art style and has an interesting story behind it, there are some elements of it that are hard to look past, in my opinion. There are a great deal of grammatical and spelling errors throughout the entire game, as well as puzzles that I feel as though do not give enough for the average gamer to understand completely on their own. I do think with a little bit of playtesting, there might have been some of those kinks worked out. And I know that this game was made by one person, which to their credit is an incredible feat, but with some extra help, there might have been some kinks that were able to work themselves out. Red Bow is a 2D top-down adventure game. It is largely a puzzle-solving adventure game that at times sort of acts like a point-and-click adventure game, but without the benefits that come with a point-and-click adventure game. You must look at every item that you find in each area, and sometimes more than once and in different ways. There were instances where I would look at one item and there would be no indication of whether or not I would eventually come back and have to use it, only to then, much later down the track, when I have no idea how to progress the story, they all of a sudden become available to you. It's a very interesting way to experience a game. If you sometimes get a puzzle wrong, you can end up dying. One thing that I did like about the game was the soundtrack. While it can be grating because the song does loop often and the song is short, I think overall I do like the music. It is similar to a 2D platformer in a similar design. It is largely relaxing, but where it does lack is the sound effects. I do think that the steps that your character takes throughout the game is a little bit too harsh, and I do think that in some areas there's no music for no reason, and that does seem odd. It's not silent for effect, it's like they didn't program the music in those parts. There are some actions that you need to take within the game that I feel are just not obvious enough. For example, it all depends on what you click on first. When I started the game, I didn't run all the way down the road. I, like many people, try to look at everything in an area, and I will get distracted by a side road that I am met with first before I go all the way down the road as to not miss something on the side. And that ended up not working in my favor as I missed the introduction to the game. And the game then assumes that you have seen it if you go down a side way first when you've not been introduced to any names or anything. There's a lot of assumptions that the game makes to make up for players missing bits of the game, which then leaves people more confused than they were to begin with, which I think is disappointing. The game is very simple and it is very cheap, so there are some exceptions that you can make to those criticisms because of that. I do think that with a little bit of cleaning up, this game could be something very worthwhile. If you are interested in Japanese horror style games, I do think you would be interested in the story. If you think you could get past a little bit of irritating puzzle gameplay, maybe with a walkthrough, you might enjoy it. Because I do think that the story is worthwhile. It is very bizarre and shocking. And honestly, the story part would be what would have gotten me through the game, if nothing else. But I had fun exploring it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to have played it. Thank you so much for watching the video today. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time.